What's wrong with ADHD? Welcome, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests. What's wrong with ADHD? I have it, and there's nothing wrong with having it. What's wrong is how it's perceived. Today I'm going to discuss 5 issues that I have with ADHD. The first one, ADHD versus a.d.d. The reason I have a problem with that is because I interchange ADD and ADHD. Thankfully, the medical community changed the original term away from minimal brain dysfunction. It's now attention deficit disorder with or without hyperactivity, and then more recently changed to attention deficit hyperactivity disorder with or without hyperactivity. So again, I'll interchange the 2 words. My second issue with ADD, look at it. It's a mathematical term. Now, if any of you know anything about ADD, you know that we're right brain thinkers. We're creative, we're intuitive. We're not like the majority of people that are left brain thinkers, analytical and mathematical, organized. So it's ironic that they use ADD to describe a right brain thinker. However, there have been some wonderful mathematicians and scientists who were famous even though they had attention deficit disorder. They would use their right brain, their creativity and intuition to know that something was right. They would then use their left brain to prove to the rest of the world that they were right. Examples would be Leonardo da Vinci and Albert Einstein. My next issue comes down to the clinical definition using the word inattention or attention deficit. The clinical definition refers to 3 major elements. And if you're taking notes, this is what you want to write down. The first one, the inability to pay attention. The second one, hyperactivity. And the third one, impulsivity. Now, when they further explain what it's like to not be able to pay attention, are you all paying attention? They use the word distractibility. My problem is that the 2 words are not the same thing. People with ADD really don't have an attention deficit. They might have an attention surplus. So they're paying attention to so many different things that they get distracted going in other directions. So I wish they would change it away from inattention or attention deficit to the more accurate term, distractibility. My 4th problem is hyperactivity, with or without. Like I said, when it was ADD, it was with or without hyperactivity. But then they changed it to attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD, with or without hyperactivity. So why did they go to the trouble to add the H? My final is the term itself, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Let's look at it from a layman's dictionary sense. Somebody with ADD doesn't have an attention deficit. So right there, that shouldn't be part of it. 2, hyperactivity, with or without disorder. True. If you focus only on the negative, then it's a disorder. But I'm sure all of you and condemned for being aggressive. Somebody who's funny, I bet you, they're also disruptive. So your best qualities are often your worst faults. And here, the medical community is focusing on the negative aspects of having ADD. I love having ADD. I wouldn't trade it for anything. It is an advantage. And what I want to do to point out the advantage is by looking at the three symptoms, the three criteria, and giving you the positive end of it. So, the first one, well, they say inattentiveness, but we'll say distractibility. Another word for that, thinking outside the box. Hyperactivity. How many of you go around at work and hear people complaining that they have too much energy? And finally, impulsivity. Another word for that? Risk-taking. Is there a billionaire out there that isn't a risk-taker? So, what I propose is that we change what the ADHD stands for. For me, it is always discovering happy distractions. Now, if any of you have known a kid with it, you'd probably go with this little more descriptive, not as positive term. Animated, disorganized, and highly distractible. And finally, there are those people that don't have the hyperactivity. Well, they should be known as